I'm John Dutton, and this is Spilled Ink. It is Friday night, and we are all here after a long week of work, and we are going to enjoy this. It is Alice Mergler, our historian. She loves Shakespeare. She told me that today is actually 4/23 is Shakespeare's birthday, so she wanted us to write something dealing with Shakespeare. So I know we have a couple people writing some sonnets. So I will kick it off with a sonnet that I wrote. All right, it is, let me pull mine up. All right. This is called Liquid Sonnet. Shall I compare thee to a cup of joe? Thou aroma is so bold, so bitter, full of life with an aspiring glow. I announce my desires on Twitter. Sometimes too hot your taste on my lips burn. I long for you each minute of my day. My hands wrapped around your body, I yearn. May we percolate forever, I pray. I want to grind your beans all through the night, a mix of Colombian, Brazilian. You lift my spirits in the morning light. Our love never meant to be clandestine. My love fails to fade for you when you grow lukewarm. Though French roast is tempting, I won't conform. And that is Liquid Sonnet.
Thank you. Well, do you know, I had this most marvelous thing happen. You just got to know how marvelous it is. I found part of a lost play. I was searching all over the Central Library, and the historian there, he's such a nice man. He said, you know, this just happened so close to his birthday, but we don't know if it's by Shakespeare, but it could be. And it's called Corona 19. So I have a couple of scenes from it, and I thought you'd be interested. Lost play recently found. Dramatis Personae in order of appearance at the Globe Theater when it reopened after the plague. Here are the characters. Johnson and his brother and Johnson. A Moderna knave, a Pfizer spy, town criers, and Sir Fauci. Act 1, Scene 1, 1584, a secret cave in the Arden forest. Lightning and thunder crashing outside the entrance. Enter Johnson and Johnson in a hurry. Johnson, we need to mix up before they come to inspect our potion. And Johnson, they must find the battle we have won. Johnson, not so fast. It seems we've run out of frogs. And Johnson, then we'll have to return to yonder bog. We have to their meet with the Moderna jerks. Johnson, we have to find out what really works. They exit into the night, a storm crashing with thunder and lightning. Scene 2, a bog aside the Avon. The Johnsons enter. Johnson, fair is foul and foul is fair, hovering through the fog and filthy air. And his brother and Johnson. At least I have my mask up tight as we search for frogs this smoggy night. Hark! Who comes there? A Moderna knave. I've come to see if you have found anything else which will compound the formula that you assume will save everyone who it consumes. Johnson, we are here to find, we think, a frog, but there may be other tricks in this bog. All I know is we must find a remedy, and our enemy is nothing less than time. The Moderna knave. We think we can now begin our tests. We'll start with the elderly and do our best to see their reactions one by one. Victory is sought. Our Moderna battle against COVID must be won. Scene 2 continues. And Johnson, look, there's a mute floating. Grab a stick. Don't falter. This might be the ingredient to cure the sick. Moderna knave, we use no mute in our vaccine. Let it go on its way down the stream. It's possible your formula will not work. Johnson, as an aside, I wish we had never consulted that jerk. A Pfizer spy hidden behind a tree. Sure glad they argue. Neither have a way. We at Pfizer will save the day. They don't know we use spit of bat. Their formula is full of crap. Ann Johnson, discomfort swells. Let's leave this place. One for all, get back to our cave. For everyone expects we will be ready by fall. Scene 3, Johnson and Johnson back in their cave. Johnson, I have not slept neither night nor day. Everyone's waiting for me to say, we can conquer this COVID disease. Ann Johnson, just keep stirring the formula, please. Boil, boil, toil and trouble. Our success is hidden in every bubble. Scene 4, Town Criers in the central square of Stratford-on-Avon. Town Crier 1, no, do we have to listen to him again? He avoids the truth as facts he spins. Town Crier 2, I try to not listen, not knowing if anything he says is sure. Somehow I don't think he knows the cure for this pandemic causing so much grief. I am the one who needs to be heard. Town Crier, didn't he just say that? Thank you, Sir Fauci, thank you. See you tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. End of Act 1.
Where in the world do we find courage to do what is right and stand up for truth? We could search the world over and forage, finding only pain like an aching tooth, and still be no closer in our journey. For where does courage live in this vast world? It's like drilling and grinding a tourney, only to find oneself twisted and hurled. If we dig deep within our heart, we'll find the making of courage somewhere in there. We must take the time to train our mind, or our lives could be an act of despair. Within us lies the very thing we seek, if we first learn to think before we speak. And the second one, The Pandemic of Fear, is the title. So I've been reading a book called Does My Head Look Big in This? About a Muslim girl, a teenager. And since I'm scouting for ideas anywhere I can find it, the mother was talking to the daughter about some problems being a teenager. And this is what the mother said to the daughter in the book. Everybody's scared of what they don't know. And so that was the launching point for me to write this poem. Fear acts powerful because we empower it. It's all an act, like the Wizard of Oz. The truth is out. Fear is powerless. It will flee if we do not greet it and put out the welcome mat. If we don't open the door wide and invite fear to come inside, saying, have a seat, stay a while, then set the table and feed it. When fear comes face to face with love, fear shrivels up and disappears. Kindness can kill fear. Gentleness washes fear away. Fear might have infected everyone, but there is an effective vaccine and a few booster shots too. Have no fear.
Okay, I have written a silly sonnet in the style of Shakespeare as best I could, and in honor of my husband. It's called Sonnet 515. That's our wedding date. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more hot, methinks, and sizzling. Though husband lore doth promise flab and flay, thy leanish bod is kin to David's chiseling. Forsooth, thou once mistook my jeans for thine. Thy redwood height gave way for truth, but cursed heavens, they fit just fine. Ne'er hast thou luscious lips but once rebuked, though hindered wash abets my pits to reek. What once was firm, fresh bread is saggy dough. Thy spouse must be a ship, how oft she creaks. Yet thou lovest evermore, thou truest beau, thou auspicious, delicious, over-ambitious mate. Stop looking at your phone, we're on a date. That is my sonnet.
Yeah, I'm Robbie, Rise, Jack Patch. I've got 2 other names. I have a blog, the pages of jackpatch.blogspot.com. I have some nice nature and woodsy quotes there. This is part of an epic poem I wrote, and I'm currently in the process of publishing my whole collection, and it's just going through the editorial process with my publisher at the moment. This is in Southern Virginia, and I meet up with my dad for the first time. Soaking in a shower, I stepped out of my stench, sorting through the staffs. This is around Parisburg at a hostel. In a barrel by the bench. Camping up by the car, our sight said Whippoorwill Will, where we dozed after dusk, snoring after sundown, where maternal metaphors even gave the garden a gown. The morning had everyone a meal, bonding over breakfast, us hikers needed to heal. Darting off with the daisies, we ascended out of the hostel, waving to Neville and Woods Hole, rambling on to Angel's Rest before a damaging descent, a blow to Pop's knees made him wonder why he went. Dropping off each decline, the impact eventually did end. Leveling out to a lane, we persisted in the Parisburg while the windows did wane. With another incline, left to a landfill, plastic paned this holy hill. Paddling on to Pocahontas Road, we pushed through all the pollution, even was bothered by bums, hassling hikers to spare them a sum. Dad was dead. After marching 17 miles, he bailed into bed. Our tilting tents finished, he could not be fed. Sinking into sleep, we were sloped by the stream, set up in stealth, hiding from the high beams. It was private, behind Pocahontas' fence, but any talk of trespass simply didn't make sense. Again, Dad was dead, save me your 2 cents. Crawling out at the crack of dawn, we snuck into the sunlight as Pop asked me to answer a question, if that's all right. Son, your first day at Springer, how many miles did you do? 8, old man, but my goals grew. That's everything.
I am going to read my sonnet first. I think this might be my first sonnet, or at least my first one in a very long time. I was kind of studying Shakespeare's Sonnet 50, so I'm calling this tribute to Sonnet 50. How woefully do I journey on the way, when that which I see is my beloved's weary end, doth teach that final curtain call to say, thus far thy life reflects thy friend. The grieving heart holds all my woes, plods sadly on to carry my love for thee. As if by chance, fate surely didst know, one day 'tis love would surely go. Each day I ponder on this meaning to me. Without you, I shall not want to carry on. That heavy guilt will plague my side, cause me to ail and ache and moan in agony because love has died and left a lost spirit behind. Oh, great. And my next poem, I kind of keep going back and forth, but I'm going to change up my, I thought I was going to read a different one, but I'm going to read Race Against Time. And in light of the world this week and everything, I was really reflecting on Langston Hughes' poem, Let America Be America Again. and his second poem, I Too Am America. So between those two poems, I kind of was stewing. And so I'm going to give you Race Against Time. Let Langston's America become America again. Let humanity and justice sing sweetly of this land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my ancestors died, land of indigenous pride, land where the forefathers denied from every corner stop, let justice ring. One nation rises indivisible under one arch of yellow hues of hope, wrapped in one ribbon of red, white, and blue. Under blue skies, liberty and morality tightly link arms to climb the mountaintop. Both bear witness of breathtaking panoramic peaks at equality. The piercing wind ushers in a turning of the tide. Like the night the first slaves broke loose from the chains of racism, snatched freedom by the hand, pushed weary souls forward. With resilient hearts running against the backdrop of racism to see souls steal away pieces of colonial dreams never meant for Black and brown pursuits. Through the still night, racing towards a truer America, let America sing proudly of its new song. Let Blackness rise like amber onyx in golden swirls with the morning sun. Give praise for this new day. Give praise for this new day. Let America be America again. Let the descendants of Langston and Abraham find sustenance from this same bowl. Let America become our America again, united under one bold, beautiful banner of love, loving friend and foe, so that all who enter will know equality in America belongs to all, and this unity will help our nation grow. Thank you. And my last poem, which was written the day after I wrote that one, it's called A Grain of Hope. In the light of the brightest ray at sunrise, rising to the surface of a full heart with bated breath, the descendants of Harriet Tubman and Alma Woodsy Thomas and Laura Wheeler Warren and Bessie Coleman and Ida and Rosa and Frederick Douglass and Robert Smalls, James Weldon Johnson, all their Black royals dared to rise up, upward from a grim past souls still hanging in the deep, dark parts of the earth, where they hoped no one would ever take notice. Yet we notice people turned faces towards the sun, dare to take notice, dare to hope. Hopeful to see the plant cracked, dried, withered, peak from a single droplet of water, tip touched from leaf to stem. Full bloom is coming round the bend. Winter rose have thawed like lush lavender vines of Waikiki's native land. Hope bursts forth, its branches heavy and thick and lovely, love to behold all its possibilities. Hope, like wisteria, weaves along the river's edge that once hid aching, bruised bodies. of my ancestors hungered for freedom. The ripple from the rock offering endless reverberations, the bluebird's song patters on like a divine flutist. We must believe in now, inhale hope and the total of its scent. Let a new realization begin, reminding all that no living thing is above that which governs it. Equality is a rare and precious gift belonging to one and all. Thank you.
Well, that's a very, very hard act to follow. um, I was just thinking to myself, sometimes, I try to write these home run poems all the time. And sometimes there's a beauty in simplicity. So these I just had fun with. Um, the first piece is called Chasing the Muse. How can one create with squirrels running in the attic, scurrying and gnawing in the newly found penthouse with no concern for the landlord or the annoyance of their play? How can one create when there are garbage trucks moving like steel vessels on black seas of my street where loud sailors tend to the mast, jumping to and fro, seizing booty and debris and returning like worker ants to their queen? How can one create when there are teenagers blasting hip hop outside my window, cursing and yelling the N word? They say they seized this word, shot it down by slave masters on southern plantations to reverse its meaning. And so, after 30 years of gangster rap, this reasoning is just stupid. How can one create a word, one lovely word is what I need to release the muse. One word to piece poetry together like a jigsaw puzzle and remove this anxiety and give a voice. How can one create with squirrels running in the attic, scurrying and gnawing in the newly found penthouse with no concern for the landlord or the annoyance of their play? Thank you. The next piece is Understanding. Maybe some of you all will understand this piece. I clip gray hairs from my goatee to preserve myself. When my vision becomes blurry, I know I need to check my blood pressure. I am notorious for having full-blown conversations by myself, and the crashes of things thrown can be heard periodically. Hours on the clock mean nothing to me. I'm up late due to never-ending deadlines in my mind, and I snore loudly in mornings, noon, and at night. Whenever the mood comes, my family simply shuts the door behind me and braces for impact. Perhaps they will soon commit me to a lovely facility with manicured lawns. Perhaps they'll spring for a jacket that straps me in tight from the back, so that I can stay warm. Or perhaps they will leave a poet at bay because I'm happy in my craziness, crafting words of life against this living death when I cannot escape the beauty of art, this poetry, this poetic pain and joy. We have an understanding. Thank you. And then the last one, I saw some little kids playing and it just made me feel good to write this piece. It's called Take Your Time. Little black girl in the beauty parlor, among the ladies of color, swapping recipes, talking gossip. She listens to grown folks' business, thinking she grown. So she walks to the front of the shop, puts her hands on her hips and hold the other hand up and out like she's stopping traffic. And she say, I ain't gonna be a woman that have to have a man. And if he wanna be with me, he got to have a plan. I know that's right. Sucks her teeth, then rolls her eyes and swings her neck with attitude. Go ahead, little Miss Thing. Go ahead, little Miss Thing. Little black boy in the barber shop among the men, speaking on sports, talking about women, with the scent of aftershave in the air. He's sitting there listening until he starts smelling himself, thinking he grown. So he walks to the front of the shop, sticks out his little bird chest like he holding up the sky he about to fly in, and he say, although my last name ain't King, I'm still gonna let freedom ring. And if the Liberty Bell is cracked, I'm still gonna do my thing. Then he struts across the floor, getting fist pumps from every man in every chair along the way. Go ahead, little man. Go ahead, little man. Take your time, little black children. We love you as you are. Take your time, little black children. We love you as you are. Thank you.
My first poem is about Bleak House, which is a novel written by Charles Dickens. It's a collection of haiku poems describing the characters, the settings, and the, how would I say it, the uncompromising judicial process involved with an inheritance. It's called Formative Representations. Jarndyce and Jarndyce, calls permeated the air, denoted no heir. Esther Summerson, authentic, steady figure, bound to find mother. Friendly Ada Clare, Esther's foremost confidant, blessed with assurance. Dazed Richard Carstone, Ada's cousin, then husband, wrung petitioner. Trustful John Jarndyce, cared for Richard and Ada, intent for Esther. Brash toady Skimpole, always in capable debt, acting as a child. Bleak House Settlement, home to guardian and wards, showcase for Skimpole. Jarndyce and Jarndyce, brooding over due process, denied reckonings. Nemo, now no one, first known as Captain Hagen, Esther's unknown dad. Cagey landlord Crook lifted Nemo's love letters, inflamed drunken bust. Grandfather Smallwood, shaken up by granddaughter, snagged the love letters. Fixed Lady Deadlock, Esther's apparent parent, withered withdrawal. Cunning Tulkinghorn, pried Lady Deadlock's secret, paid price, shot to death. Sir Lester Deadlock, taken aback by wife's news, not to worry though. Chesney Wold Estate, showplace home to the Deadlocks, yet private blackout. Brisk lost clerk Guppy, unsuited plays for Esther, prospects, nil outcomes. Crosswalk sweeper Joe pleaded, I don't know nothing, passed along the way. Shy Mr. Snagsby relayed Nemo's handwriting, Joe's benefactor. Jarndyce and Jarndyce, thy wills none be done, not one. Enough is enough. Inspector Bucket, adept interrogator, apt detective traits. Sergeant George Rouncewell, cleared of Tulkinghorn's murder, brought back to mother. Mademoiselle Hortense, fired as Lady Deadlock's maid, Tulkinghorn's killer. Doc Allen Woodcourt, treated Joe's fatal illness, Esther's spouse at end. Jarndyce and Jarndyce, case finally delivered, but consumed payday. Courteous Miss Flight, maintain reserve with her birds, released once suit closed. That's it. Okay, the next poem is about different hook lines in songs. It's called Puzzling. Fire I can warm to, ice I can chip, but don't move that mountain I can't seem to grip. Ice I can chip, fire I can warm to, but climb every mountain leaves no time for the view. My hands can wave, my legs can prance, and buying a stairway to heaven inclines indeed to advance. My legs can prance, my hands can wave, and pennies from heaven are descents to save. Water I can fathom, edges I can cut, but the desert of a dream is not of my nut. Edges I can cut, water I can fathom, but floating down the dream river maintains an unswerving phantom. My heart can beat on, my mind can fly, and on top of the world gains rest after ever so high. My mind can fly, my heart can beat on, and world seems to come and go, is soon too far past yon. Rest after ever is ever rest. And my final one is called Beyond Abundance. Beyond abundance, universe unlimited, time everlasting. Where from existence? Big Bang came out of hiding, spewed beyond a veil. Expansive cosmos, stellar explosions, blast rays, above all into caught up energy, disappears into black holes, where to MC squared. Therefrom premature, 10 billion years until life, third more till humans. Some animals lived only to become extinct. Why for dinosaurs? Mixed bag for lifetimes, from seconds to centuries, thereto afterlife. So far towards outbounds, so long times bygone go on, ways beyond plain grasp.
The first one's, well, I have three, and the first one's called Diana. Leaves twist in ebony till the clouds free their opal guest. Quicksilver fingers transfigure shadows within shadows. Leave silver highlights on edges of dreams. Catch the tip of a fox's fur on a hare's race as a shadow of an owl flirts, breathes, caresses upon the face of the moon. Her fingers knit starlight as she shakes the dust of this tidal reverie out of her hair. Slipping from the moon-rhymed shadow of an oak, her laughter stirs tides, makes the blood in my heart hammer against my chest to greet her. Full moon soars through the tossed cumulus, a frigate upon the night's high seas, casts nets of mercury and silver, captures ghosts stirred by Morpheus as they reach for the hearts that call them. Schools of branches braced in silver waggle in the breezes, and she nuzzles against me, weaving magic around my soul. Moonlight, the smell of lilacs, her breath, dancing dreams along the coral edges of my ear. Leave waves crashing about the atoll of my heart. My beaches swarmed by this high tide of love, lunar magic, and one woman who knows what path will let her spells hold me to her forever. And then the second one is one I dug up from all the cats wandering around the people's heads the other time we got together. And this is called Sweeping Shadows from the Door. The sky arches its back, a cat waiting for the wind to blow away the stars. In feline playfulness, she preys upon the moon, her purrs grace the morning, stilling the birds. As she weaves eternity about my legs, you are only a door closing, a night forgotten as dawn kisses me. And then this is my last little piece. I wrote this just recently, so I hope it's good. I never know until about 6 or 8 months have gone by. But this is my effort to William Shakespeare. And we've put it in kind of modern times, because if Willie was around now, he'd be a hip hop artist and a jive man, and he'd probably be known as Billy the Shake. He'd say things like hipsters, flipsters, finger popping daddies, knock me your loaves. I've not come to hip you to Caesar, but to lay him out. So I've got this brief little piece called Jive Man. Now, you take Willie laying down the sound. He knew what was shaking, what was rocking all around town. It takes an artist, not a king, to recognize where the truth hides, no matter how loud the liars sing. Nations tremble as artists assemble to sing the songs woven in their souls. They deny, they defy rules and laws that stand in the way when they have a life to portray, when they want you to listen, open your mind to all they have to say. Willie the Shake knew the rules. King of the power are always great until events betray them in the final hour. The sly Iago with the poison knife, the faithful blot on Macbeth's wife. We love the circus, the sword swallower's feet. We know the show and watch with disbelief. But come the play when truth will out. We watch in silent awe as it slays all doubt. We leave a little wiser than once before, perhaps sure that we know the score. So point your fingers and take your stands. Tell everyone you know how much you understand, but in the end, everyone goes to see the show when Willie the Shake lets you be in the know.
Okay, well, I didn't write a new sonnet, but I will read one that I have written. This was one of my first attempts. So I actually kind of call it halfway. So Dancing into Light, a halfway sonnet. In grayscale prisms, captured light dances. I chase rainbows, but with no color, I find shadow, but no substance, only entrances in toed shoes. I dance, leaving urban squalor. I cannot find the end of the arc to slide away from gray scale updates. I dance the core and never the bride. The play progresses in all its heavy, tragic weights. But even in the mist, light refracts, and I can walk away from the shade. Each step, each plie is planned to evoke tears and accolade. I dance in today with dazzlement, the power to destroy or to bring home the truth of haunting joy. All right. So I have to take a quick look to decide which one I'm replacing, because I picked that one at the last minute. You are my nemesis. Long flowing words and lines leave me woebegone. Wherewithal I am crafting, today I know that under the umbrella of poetry, where the rain of words dries up, I will be left in the wake of haiku, the shortness wafturing in mellifluous tones. I want a deep ocean and not the ripple effect I usually get. I want glass-breaking poetic storm, not a timbulation of sound. But for now, I'm still a gnat seeking to become, if not a dragon, a more lithe poet, able to find my way out of the kingdom of insects in search of fire words. And then the last one is Real Betty. Questions provide the key to unlocking, and ultimately real movement is fallacy. Proper aluminum growing up the body into the neck, forming the face. No, not fear the future. We are silver oxide rust lit by the imagination. Man's mind wept, stretched by a desire to improve the world. You are not alive. We, the rising Betty, aluminum robot android. Your accomplishment are not desires, challenges, the principle of growth and human choice. The inking of fear to desire rejoices, fails to see our result. No passion, happiness is one, happiness is one. We are replacements. Thank you.
So I'm going to read two short selections from my memoir. One is called, the first is called The Long Lasting Shame. I must have been raised not to stare at people who are disabled physically or mentally, but I don't recall talk about not doing so. I remember a classmate who had some kind of physical disability. Kids made fun of the fact that she used a wheelchair and wore thick glasses. She also had some kind of health issue because she was in the nurse's office quite often. I may have been too young to call myself her friend, but I always made sure I talked to her and lent a hand if she needed one. One day, I learned that she was no longer with us. While at the hairdresser, she had a heart attack and died. She was only 8 or 9. Of course, I don't know how I absorbed that news, but years later, I must have been glad that I had been kind to her and hope those others who weren't had deeply regretted their behavior. I had a cousin who was retarded. That was the common term for practically every abnormal mental disability, but he had cerebral palsy, including difficulty walking and talking. Though we lived on Long Island and he lived in Brooklyn, we saw him quite often. I didn't know why that was, but years after all this, I came to understand that his mother was Daddy's favorite sister. Daddy was the youngest, and Skeeta took care of him when all 11 siblings came up from Georgia in the 1940s. While other relatives tolerated Junior when he was a young but very odd kid, my parents were trying to give Aunt Skeeta well-deserved breaks for as long as they could. She didn't want to institutionalize her son, so she couldn't work and she didn't drive. Her 2 older daughters did what they could until they had their own kids and kept them away from Junior as he grew bigger, stronger, and physically abusive. His father left because he could no longer handle his condition. Aunt Skeeta finally had to send him away when he was around 20. He didn't live much longer than that. I was very young when I met Junior, and I liked him even though I could barely understand what he was saying. I knew he was different, but we could still play together. He's probably the one who taught me there are imperfectly formed children in this world, but they deserve the same love as the others who look perfect. As I grew, I also came to know that things happen to perfectly formed people which ruin their bodies permanently or just temporarily. Illness, car crashes, sports injuries, freak accidents. Which brings me to the shameful act that I can't forgive myself for, even after all these years later. In June 1974, I graduated from college and almost immediately joined the Army, much to my mother's dismay, but that's another story. The 11 weeks of basic training in Alabama were pure hell, brought on by heat, bad weather, bugs, sweat, exhaustion, fierce competition, fear of the drill sergeant. We were all vying for the best trainee honor with a certificate or something. By this particular day, it was me against Grace. We tied in press fatigues, shiny shoes and brass, test scores, posture, everything. This time I knew it would depend on my ability to finally make my bunk so tight that the sergeant could bounce a quarter off of it, a feat that was nearly impossible, but the rule was to try. I was convinced that the drill sergeants shared many laughs over making us believe almost anyone could do it. Excuse me. Now, the space between bunks was only as wide as your locker. Facing your bed from the foot, your locker was to your right. So this was your space. You encroached on your neighbor's territory when you made the other side of your bunk. Mary, the trainee to my left, broke her leg and was being sent home. But while she waited the few days for that to happen, she wasn't excused from bed making. I had finished the left side of my bunk. and was working on the right side while Mary was struggling with hers. When I was done, I knew it was perfect. I was so proud. Check this out, Sergeant, I said as I mentally patted myself on the back for a job superbly done. I suddenly heard this booming voice, "Get off of my bed!" Startled, she sprang up, fell to the floor, and cried out in agony. That awful shout had come from me. I wanted to crawl under my bunk in shame, and I've never forgotten that cruel act. So that's the first one. And the second one's a little lighter. This is for you cat lovers out there. "Let me in," said the cat. I had been cleaning Mary's house for about a year, but I'd never seen her cat. That in itself isn't surprising, since I've cleaned some houses for years and have only seen the cat once or twice. Normal cats run when a stranger comes in and apparently run even faster when they see me carrying my vacuum. The two abnormal cats in my cleaning life right now are both Norwegian forest cats. They like people, so they follow me around, talk to me, and one of them even tries to assist me in bed making. Mary was away for a few days, and on the day I went in to clean, it was, pardon the expression, raining cats and dogs. I was cleaning the bottom floor when the cat appeared at one of the two doors, desperate to come in. He, I don't know if the cat was a he or she, meowed loud enough for me to hear him through the glass. He stood up and pawed the door, looked directly at me as he pleaded for me to let him in. I knew the cat could get into the screened-in upper deck because I occasionally had to vacuum feathers from the birds he'd murdered to give to Mary. "No, I can't let you in. Maybe you're supposed to stay out." But not so deep down, I knew that probably wasn't the case. As usual, there were 2 bowls of fresh food, a bowl of water, a litter box, a stack of canned food, and a bag of dry. Someone was taking care of the cat during Mary's absence. "Maybe I should let you in. Obviously, you belong inside, but it's not my call." I moved to the other side of the room. The cat moved to that door and did an encore performance. I started moving back to the first half, and the cat reappeared at the first door. "Okay, I'll let you in when I get there." A couple minutes later, I was at the door, but he was gone. He'd probably meowed a few choice cat words before leaving the shelter of the patio to climb the steps to the upper deck. "Good," I said. "I don't have to worry about whether I did the right thing by letting him in." About an hour later, I was upstairs when I heard someone come in. It was the young lady taking care of the cat. "He's outside," I told her. He was begging to come in, and I was finally going to do that when he disappeared. I guess he gave up. "Her cat's an inside cat," she said. "I better go check." She went downstairs and was back a few minutes later. "He must go outside sometimes," I said, "because of the bird feathers. I never saw him." "You don't see him very much. He's always hiding." I said, "No, I mean, I've never seen her cat, so I don't know what he looks like." "He has some white on him." "I don't think this one did." "Then the cat you saw wasn't Mary's." So that's the end of that. I almost let in the wrong cat, or the cat that was not hers. So anyway, that's it. So, thank you.
Good evening. And I just have one little piece, and has a little bit of Shakespeare in it, but not much. But here it goes. It's called My Great Declaration. Let me get it up here. To read or not to read? King Apatsos was pondering as he was sitting on the throne next to his queen. The great messenger entered the chamber wearing nothing but his underwear, holding a large scroll. He opened the scroll and said, "This declaration I declare, as I stand here in my underwear. that you go and you push that button and have fun with John Dutton. And you go and punch the face of the burglar and enjoy time with Alice Mergler. You hear one of the greatest names, and that one of them is Brian Donnell James. Get ready to have fun with the words of Thomas Burson. Keep things from being stale when you spend time with Nick Hale. Oh, I am so eager to go on a hike with Robbie Krieger and to read that very great book, that great story about Mary Rook. As you watch the roaming bison, read the poem by Lesley Tyson. Those horror movies are too gory. Instead, hear Gail Williams read her story. Turn off that pressure cooker and hear the words of Willeena Booker. Instead of hearing that lousy talker, you will hear the words of Catherine Walker. What to see a great thing, and come and see Robert Fleming. Your life will be dim when you hear words of a man named Jim. Your life will not be cold when you hear the good old Megan McDonald. Everything is going to be dandy. Why? We are hearing the words of Sandy. Everything is better than good because of Morgan Hazelwood. Here I am in my stance, as I stand here not wearing pants. Now to end this invocation, this is the declaration. He rolled up the scroll and bowed to the king and queen. This is the great declaration, said the queen. But could you at least put some clothes on? You look hideous. Sorry, your highness, he replied, but I wanted to get this declaration out for you to hear. The messenger left the chamber, leaving the king and queen by themselves. It could be worse, the king said. And that is the great declaration.
I'm ready. Okay. This is called No Good People. Let go of those whose mission is to beat down your pride or poke holes in your self-esteem by treating you as a joke or a punching bag or a personal slave. Trust your mind, follow your heart, and when people want to tear you apart, know that hard work and faith will get you through it all. That is the very best you can do. This is called Sanctuary. A walk with my big dog on a sunny, blustery spring day is the closest I come to sheer joy. As birds chirp and white fluffy clouds fill the crystal blue sky, I'm so happy I cry. I found my very own sanctuary. And this is a real short one. It's called The Best of Friends. Never forget to tell those we care most about, those who care most about you, that they matter. Never assume they know, and do it incessantly. That's it.
So I wrote one sonnet a couple falls ago. It's a little unseasonal, but you know, I figure I'd go with it. And if I still had time, do my short essay. So here we go. The nights as winter comes shall all grow long, the days becoming dark and gray and cold. We scurry when we venture outside bold and dodge the raindrops with their icy song. When melancholy's pull will feel so strong, one must resist its call and never fold. Unlike the animals, we must withhold our dreams of hibernation, oh so wrong. Yet now is when we gather, good friends all, together we shall cook our feasts and more. We'll fill each other's lives with magic tales. On paper, on to screens, both large and small, one must admit there are great myths in store. To liven winter now, we'll seek their tales. So that was my sonnet, my attempt at a sonnet from Poetry Month. So, okay, and my other is a bit more of an essay, talking about what makes a word real. Oh, how about I move my microphone like near me? Sorry about that. Okay, so yes, that is a real word. I don't always use my vocabulary to its greatest extent, but I've definitely been that lady that people have arched an eyebrow at when I used the right word and they thought I was using a 10-cent word to sound superior. Sometimes I just like to be precise. I like words. I like knowing the connotations that distinguish different options in my thesaurus. I'm what you might call an amateur etymologist, a person who studies words, their meanings, and the history behind them. I'm a huge fan of the website Etym Online. Just be sure not to confuse me with the bug-loving entomologist. Etymologist, entomologist, different. For the whole of society, people have been continually creating words when the ones they had just wouldn't do. We see it every day with new technologies and new slang. Tons of the so-called greats they teach you in English literature have done it, from Dickens to Milton to the ever famous for it Shakespeare. Now, I'm sure there are experts that will argue with me, and I know the French in particular are quite particular about allowing new words into their language. But for me, if you use a word and people can understand from the context what you intended, it's a word. There you go. Maybe I can tell because I recognize the root word that you've just verbified. Maybe I can tell because your actions demonstrated its meaning. With science fiction and fantasy writers, we often find ourselves inventing dozens of terms for magic or technological systems. But you don't have to be in a make-believe world for a made-up word to have meaning. Language exists to convey a thought, a concept. If you've successfully conveyed your meaning, that's all it takes for a word to be real, for me.
Good evening, I'm Robert. I'm a writer from Delaware. And I first want to give a shout out to Nick Hale tonight. This was the first poem that Local Gems published in one of their anthologies, probably about 6 years ago. It's a tribute to Shakespeare's poem, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day? William, does this frock make me look fat? Why should I compare you? Shall my rating do good? Will it make me want you more than what I had, nor worse than what I can't get? Your score will be my score. Shall there come a day when you won't ask? Oh no, no, not that frock. Take it off. Thank you. The next one is a limerick. It's called Hamlet Decide. Hamlet decide, choose, live or die. Eaten 8 pieces of pie, to be or not to be. Uncle killed father. Oh gee, your play's over. Oh me, oh my. And the last one is a satire piece, again, about Hamlet. It's called Hamlet at the Drive-Through Window. There are two characters, Hamlet and the order taker. Order taker, number, Hamlet, my uncle killed my father. Order taker, number one, killers like hamburgers. Hamlet, two number ones, my father was a cuckold. Order taker, number three, the cheated like the fried chicken basket. Hamlet, one number three, my mother cheated with my uncle. Order taker, number two, cheaters like cheeseburgers. Hamlet, one number two, Ophelia scrubs pots. Order taker, number six, obsessive compulsives like the chicken sandwich hold the sauce. Hamlet, two number sixes, Claudius fences. Order taker, number nine, fencers like Cajun fries. Hamlet, two number nines, to eat or not to eat. Order taker, number five, indecisives like the sampler, five choices. More numbers? Hamlet. Number five, no, a ghost told me who killed my father. Order taker. Number four, ghosts eat the invisible burger. Hamlet, two number fours, done. Order taker, drive through. Your order will be ready for your next family murder. That's it.